Friends, in the last lecture I promised you that I will elaborate on the relation between success and self-image. So therefore, today's lecture can be called, or the topic or the heading of this particular lecture would be Anatomy of Success. Very interesting. Even success has got its own anatomy. And unless we understand and get familiar with the anatomy of success, success cannot be ours because it has got a structured mechanism goes into producing a success. So let me ask you a simple question. In any project that you have taken into your hand, in any project, if you want to be successful, then that success in that project depends on what? Little bit of thinking. I mean, had there been an audience, I would have thrown this question to the audience here and I would have got several answers. But the answer that I'm looking for is very simple. Many people will definitely admit and say that hard work is the most important ingredient in producing success, which is a perfect answer. But I don't like that answer for the simple reason that the hardness, the word contains hard, and hard is a very negative word for me. So I don't want to use hard work. But although it's a correct answer, I will search for a better word. What is a better word for hard work? Efforts. Oh, it looks smooth, you know. So success is a product of how much efforts you are likely to put in that environment for that particular object. Now, next question is the efforts that you are likely to put in any kind of project depend on what? You know, efforts are always dependent on something else. Your efforts will be more or less depends on what? The obvious answer to this question is, what are your goals in your life? You know, for example, then let us take a student who is appearing for FI BCom examination, and there is another student who is appearing for IIT entrance examination, whose efforts will be more? Obviously IIT. Why? Because his goal is higher, so efforts required will be higher. And because he is looking for a higher level of success, his efforts will be much more than the student who is just interested in passing FI BCom. So it's very simple that the kind of efforts that you are going to put in particular project depends upon how high your benchmark is. That means how high your goal is. That means how high you are ready to fly yourself, you know. So that is called goal. Now this word goal comes from the world of sports, and you must know that in the world of sports everything is well calibrated, exactly measured. Measurements are precise. The size of the football ground all over the world is same. The size of the football goal post is always same all over the world. The size of the football itself is same all over the world. So everything in the world of sports is precise. Therefore, remember one thing, the goal cannot be called a goal unless it is very well precisely defined. Otherwise, I may say, I want to become a multimillionaire. Is it a goal? Not at all. This is just a pipe dream, a kind of dream. When you get intoxicated by smoking tobacco, for some time you get that kind of pipe. But if I say, within next 2 hours I will earn 500 rupees, yes, that's a very well-defined goal. Why? Because you are specifying what you want to achieve and by when. So there has to be a deadline. When you say within next 2 hours I'll make 500 rupees, yes, that's a goal. Because it answers two questions. What needs to happen? And by when. When you answer these two questions, your goal gets well defined. And the higher your goal is, the more efforts you are likely to put in, the more motivated you will be, and the more motivated you are, the more effort you are putting, the success is likely to be much, much higher. So now this diagram is becoming very interesting. Success depends on efforts that you are likely to put in. Efforts depend on what kind of goals you are likely to put in. Now you will ask me and I will ask you a question. Goals that one keeps for oneself depend on what? Ultimately you will realize that you are whatever you are because of the kind of goals that you have kept for yourself. You have become engineer because that was your goal. You are a doctor because that was your goal. You are a postdoctorate. Yes, that was your goal. You became an operator in call center. That was your goal. All the goals will lead to a certain kind of future, and this future will be decided by you. So the goals are not predetermined. For example, I'll give my own examples. Most of my examples are from my field. I'm a teacher, I'm a professor, I'm teaching, and I'm meeting students of a very tender age. So I was living in Shivaji Park area at that time in Dadar. And in the morning, I had a habit of going for a walk. So I used to go for a walk around the Shivaji Park. So one day I was just jogging around the Shivaji Park and I saw one child. He was the son of my colleague. And I knew he had just appeared for standard 10 examination. So I asked, he saw me, he saluted me, yes sir, good morning sir. Then I called him, come here. What are you doing? Sir, 90% marks in 10th standard. Now I am in the Ruparel College of Science. I said, yeah, nice. Ruparel College is a great achievement because it's one of the best colleges in Bombay. It is supposed to be. Yes, sir. I'm very happy. So I said, anyway, you have taken science as your career and you got some high rank in 10th standard also. Why don't you take up a goal of coming first in the IIT advanced examination? The moment I said this, you could have looked at his body language. He became stiff, very serious, and he came very close to me. And in my ear, he whispered, sir, सुबह से आपको कोई मिला नहीं है क्या? In other words, this particular goal was impossibly higher for him, right? He was not willing to take up that goal. From my point of view, I was just experimenting in finding out whether any goal which I throw at a person, whether he will accept it or not. Secondly, why, if he accepts it, then why? If he doesn't accept it, then why? What are the reasons why he thinks that is not acceptable? And all these questioning, pondering, led me to the realization that goals are predefined. One cannot take any goal that is thrown at him, and on what basis he decides that he is probably become this or probably become that or probably done that, because he has already formed certain beliefs about his own capabilities. He knows exactly what he is capable of and what he is not capable of. And when I throw a goal of coming first into the IIT examination, his already mind is set that this particular goal is outside my possibilities. I am not up to it. Now, when I started thinking about it, I was wondering, just a 17-year-old boy, but he knows what is not going to happen in his life. And I am 100% sure I would have asked him similar 100 questions, and I'm sure he would have said, no, this is not possible, this is not possible, this is not possible, this is not possible. That means he has got certain set of very fixed beliefs about what he is capable of and what he is not capable of. Now, on what basis he has made these decisions, I don't know. But here's that the collection of all these beliefs about his capacity, not being able to and being able to, all those put together makes a self-image. He has got certain image about himself. So self-image is the root cause of success in your life. If your self-image is that if you tell yourself every day, I'm not extraordinary, at the most I'm better than an ordinary or better than average, then you are going to select goals which will commensurate, which will rhyme with your self-image. Your self-image tells you that don't take up any extraordinary goals, but if you are not extraordinary, you're just better than average. So you are going to take up better than average goals. For example, IIT जाने दो यार, लेकिन NIT तो मिलेगा. NIT जाने दो, COEP तो मिलेगा. This kind of goals you will select because you feel that I am slightly better than the average. And then your efforts will be only limited up to that particular goal, right? And you will achieve that goal. And when you achieve that goal, you are successful. But your success also tells you, look, you are not extraordinary. it has been proved that you are not extraordinary because you got admission only in COAP but not in IIT. So this is a vicious cycle. The image that I am not extraordinary gives rise to least amount of goals, lower amount of goals. Lower amount of goal lead to lower amount of efforts, and low efforts will give you lukewarm success, and this lukewarm success justifies your self-image. Look, didn't I say you that I told you that I am not extraordinary? So it's a vicious cycle, and this vicious cycle is something we are caught. Not only a student, but if you deeply look at every individual, he is enclosed in this particular vicious cycle at whatever age he is or she is. So this is a vicious cycle. Now the question is, there are certain exactly opposite cycles working in somebody. For example, if I feel for no reason I am extraordinary, full stop, then you are going to take extraordinary goals. You will set up a goal which is really high and which is impossible to achieve according to everyone else. But you will set that goal. And when you set that particular goal, your efforts will be tremendous. So tremendous that your success will be extraordinary. You will be world famous. A simple example of all successful people you take. For example, let us take Bhimsen Joshi. His goal was what? To become the greatest singer of all time. And for that, he decided that his home is not enough. So he ran away from home. For 20 long years, this fellow was just traveling from one place to another, finding out a good guru. And until he found out a good guru, he suffered a lot. I mean, if you have read his biography, you'll come to know. This suffering was so high that he used to do, wash shoes and clean utensils. He was ready to do anything. His efforts were enormous. But the kind of success that he got was just fantastic, because one of the Marathi authors used to call him Hawai Gandharva. In other words, he was always flying by planes from one place to another place. So that is called extraordinary self-image. Extraordinary self-image creates a very positive cycle. Extraordinary self-image gives you a higher amount of goal. Higher amount of goal gives you the strength to do a lot of efforts, and those lot of efforts generally result into an extraordinary success, right? So this is a positive cycle. Now, the question is, and very important question in the life of everybody, can I revert my cycles from ordinary to extraordinary? Is it possible? Now, this question is a very, very crucial question in the life of everyone, but nobody asks these kind of questions. We are not even aware that the answer to these kind of questions will change my life, will really bring the transformation that I'm looking for. I told you, the goal of our organization, my organization, Spurti, is IIT, inspire. Let the students know that they are 1,000 times better than what they think they are capable of. Secondly, inform, give them some information which nobody has talked to them, spoken to them. And lastly, and the most important, transformation. If you are behaving in a certain way in a particular environment, your reaction must change. And that is the ultimate aim. Now, this vicious cycle has been created. Why? Because your reactions are automatic to the environment. They are in a autopilot mode. Our life is in an autopilot mode. We are sleeping. The plane is going on in whatever direction it takes. And we are just flowing according to the current. We have no control on the direction of the airplane of our life. And this particular thing, this is a story of everybody in the walk of life. Very few people come out of this cycle and create an extraordinary future for themselves. So now the question is, and you will naturally ask me a question, that our diagram says that success depends on effort depends on goal depends on self-image. How and why and in what way is this possible for me to change my self-image? My answer is positive. You can always transform yourself, you change your self-image in such a way that you can achieve any kind of goal. But the process, I'm not saying process is difficult, but the process requires a lot of psychological innovations. light of new paradigms to set for yourself. You have to create a new world around yourself. You have to create a new mindset. And for that, it is absolutely necessary to understand how the self-image is created. Correct? The self-image is created, and its creation is called genesis of self-image. Now that is going to be the part of my next lecture.